Hi, I'm Pete and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. Once a year I use a sickle bar mower to mow under the fences on our farm. I used to use a sickle bar mower to do all of our hay cutting, but I switched to a haybine because I save some time that way. Properly adjusting a sickle bar mower is becoming a lost art, and they sure are a joy to run when they're adjusted properly. So in this video, I'm going to go through the parts of the sickle bar mower and how it works, how to adjust it properly for good clean cutting, and then we'll go out and do some mowing. I'm going to be using this International C21 7-foot cut sickle bar mower on the back of our 1953 Farmall Super C. Now, sickle bar mowers are old technology, and they were created when horsepower was literally horsepower. They don't take a lot to run it. The tractor is about 20 horsepower, and it doesn't even work the tractor very hard when I'm mowing with it. Normally I use our Farmall H with a 120 balanced head mower behind it, and it is a great rig. Unfortunately, the H is down for repairs until fall. So I dug out the C21 mower, which I haven't used in about 5 years, and it needs some tuning up before I could get it running properly. The C21 is a fast hitch mower. It uses International's 2-point fast hitch system, which makes it easy to hook up and unhook. It also was made to use International's touch control system on the Super C hydraulics, and the touch control rock shafts up front and the hitch adjustments are what raise and lower the mower and get it to the right cutting angle. So this arm that comes from the mower up to the front rock shaft raises and lowers the mower. And then you use the other hitch adjustments, the up-down, to get the mower right. And I adjust the up-down until I get the U-joints approximately straight to limit wear on the U-joints while keeping the bar still on the ground. Now for the basic parts of the mower, and these parts are pretty much shared by most all sickle bar mowers. You've got a drive shaft coming off the tractor PTO, which comes into the drive pulley here. Now the drive pulley has a slip clutch on it, and it's these little jagged teeth that you can see right here. And what happens is if the mower encounters too much resistance, then this will pop out because this spring allows it to, and this part of the shaft will rotate on itself so that the mower stops under increased load. From that main drive pulley, we come down to the pitman drive pulley, and the pitman drive pulley has an eccentric mounted pitman on it so that when it turns around, the pitman winds up going back and forth, just like an old steam locomotive drives the wheels from a piston. This kind of works in reverse. This belt has seen better days. It is about worn out, and it's loose as well, and it's all the way at the end of its adjustment over here. So I can run this belt to trim under fences, but there's no way I'd start mowing fields with this belt. Now from the wood pitman, which is wood because that's another fail-safe in this system. If the mower encounters something that it can't cut, say a fence post, the pitman arm could break or the slip clutch could slip. From the pitman arm, you come down to the sickle bar mower, and the pitman arm goes back and forth, so this knife goes back and forth in between these rock guards and ledger plates. And I'll get into more detail on how this is built and take it apart in a minute. The mower is braced to the tractor via this connection straight up to the axle because the mower puts this kind of force on the tractor, and this compensates for it. There's also a breakaway right here. These two toothed pieces will come unlatched if there's too much pull on the sickle bar. This spring lets this one pop out, and the sickle bar will break away backwards. The far end of the sickle bar knife has what's called a swather, and I've taken the swather off on this because mowing under fences, it gets caught on the bottom wire. But this tool is essential if you're mowing in a field, because what it does is as you mow the grass and it comes over it, it rolls the cut grass backwards, leaving a clear swath at the end of your cut, so that when you come along for the next pass, you've got a clear swath to drop the mower into, and the front cutting edge of the mower on the other end of the bar won't get clogged up with already cut grass. All right, now on to adjustments, and small adjustments can make a huge difference in how well your sickle bar mower cuts. First adjustment to look at is how the bar is riding with respect to the ground. It should be approximately horizontal. In other words, it's in the plane of the ground. If you get a bar that does this or does this, it won't catch the grass right and it'll clog a lot more. Most mowers have an adjustment back there at the drive end of the sickle bar mower to adjust the tilt of the bar. On this particular model, I use the touch control hitch adjustments to get the sickle bar to the right plane. Each end of the sickle bar has a shoe, and here's the shoe on this one, and it's adjustable. This one only has 2 height adjustments, but you can use that to adjust the height of the cut. There's a shoe on the inside end as well that is adjustable in a similar fashion. You want to adjust the angle of the mower so that it's tilted in with respect to the tractor a little bit, so that the front edge over there is riding a little forward of this edge. That way, as the mower deflects, as it's catching grass in the field, it'll mow at a right angle to the tractor. And there's various adjustments to this. On this mower, you adjust that right here via this rod. You take it out or let it in to adjust the orientation of the mower with respect to the tractor. One of the key things to maintaining these mowers, kind of the first thing you need to learn, is how to remove the sickle bar. Now, to remove this one, there's a lever which I've already popped. You drive on this ear with a hammer and you pop this lever, and then you just take a screwdriver and you disengage the ball end. On many of these mowers, the knife is removed by actually doing the counterintuitive thing, and that's pulling the knife toward the inside of the mower and out. And that's because the drive end of the knife has this big hunk of metal on it for driving the knife back and forth, and it won't fit through all this complication here. All right, with the knife partially removed, we can look at the parts of the sickle bar. It's important to know these when you get into adjusting it. First, you have the knife sections on the knife. The whole thing is the knife. Each triangular piece is a knife section. They're individually replaceable. These are riveted on, and if you have to remove and replace one of these sections, you have to grind off the top of the rivet and then punch the rest of the rivet out with a punch, put a new rivet in, and use a special tool to rivet the rivet in place. I've gone from using these riveted on sections to bolted sections because they're much easier to replace in the field if you break a section. Adjusting the knife correctly is the most intricate part of this whole business. And you can think of the knife just as a whole bunch of scissors all in a row. The knife is composed of these triangular pieces which are knife sections. And the knife section is one arm of the scissors. The other arm of the scissors is the rock guard and ledger plate that the knife section passes against. Here's a busted rock guard, and you can see how the ledger plate works. This is the ledger plate on the rock guard, and they are 2 separate pieces of metal. You've got the rock guard and the serrated ledger plate. The ledger plate is riveted onto the rock guard. There's one end of the rivet, and there's the other end of the rivet. Now, in the old days, when people were more frugal with metal and replacing things, they would take off these ledger plates when they became worn out. They would drill the rivet out, take it off, and then they would put in new ledger plates. And I think this is the last box of new old stock ledger plates that my dealer had. They dug it out, and I was amazed. It's got to be at least 30, 40 years old. They would replace the ledger plate with new ones, and I've gone through and done this, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot of labor. I don't do that anymore. More modern mowers like our haybine have smooth one-piece rock guards, so there's no serrated ledger plate in here. When this wears out, you replace the whole thing instead of just the ledger plate. What I'm running on this mower is really not correct as far as what old timers would say, because I have serrated ledger plates and I have under serrated knife sections. There's serrations that run along the bottom of these. Serrations are great for keeping the knives from wearing out. In the very old days, when they just had smooth knives with a sharp edge on them, you'd have to pull the bar out at least once a day, it seems like, put it on a sharpener and sharpen up each section of the knives, and then put it back in the mower before you went back out mowing. The serrated sections wear less because as the point wears down, it wears into the serration, just like a steak knife. Now, old timers would say I'm running this wrong because I'm running serrated ledger plates and under serrated knives. Only one of the mating surfaces should be serrated, so I should be running serrated ledger plates and top serrated knives instead of under serrated knives or smooth knives. But I haven't found it really makes that much of a difference in cutting. The other parts of the sickle bar mower are on the other side of the knife as it's riding along. These are hold downs, and the hold down keeps the knife on the ledger plates so you get a good, clean, close cut as they move back and forth. Also, underneath the hold down clip is the wear plate, and you can see the wear plate here. What happens is the bar that's underneath that attaches all these knife sections together rides against that wear plate, so it just wears on the wear plate instead of wearing the whole edge of the bar down where it rides. The back of the knife sections ride on these little standouts on the hold down clip. So the whole knife is supported that way. It's important for the last knife section on the sickle bar to be a special knife, different from all the rest. And unfortunately this mower doesn't have it on it, but it should be this. And what this does is it's a double section in one section that goes on here. It doubles the amount of cuts you have going over the ledger plate. So in a sense, your scissors are running at twice the speed as all the other knife sections are. They also make these that are a triple section that triple the amount of cuts you get. And it vastly decreases the number of clogs you get on the end of the knife. Adjusting the knife properly makes a huge difference in how the mower will cut. And the first thing you want to do is just inspect everything. Look at each of the knife sections. Are any of them broken, bent? Are any loose? Look at the corresponding mating surface, the ledger plates. See if any of those are loose or worn out, because they do get worn down over time. And just go through and inspect every single one right down the line. You also want to look at the rock guards. Sometimes they'll hit a rock in the field and bend this way. You want to make sure they're all straight or else the mower won't mow properly. Sometimes these get broken off, sometimes they get bent one way or the other and you have to straighten them, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. You want to go down the bar and check each hold down clip. Each hold down clip should be tight on the top of the knife section. After all, that's what holds the knife section close to the ledger plate. And if one of them's loose, just give it a whack with a hammer and it'll press down on this part. And then once you have all the hold downs holding down as they should, then you can look at each knife and make sure it's contacting the ledger plate. But you want a nice tight contact like this. There should not be a gap there. If you get a gap there, it's just like a pair of scissors with a gap. It won't cut, it'll clog. And if you have a rock guard that's in or out of plane, and even when you buy new ones, quite often they are, you just take a sledgehammer, there's a 4-pound sledge, and you give it a tap until you've got a nice mating surface here. Don't worry, the rock guard won't break. Just tap on it until you get it to where it needs to be. And it can come this way too. Once you've gone through and done that with the knife in the up position like I have it here, you want to drop the knife down and make sure that you still have contact between the knife sections and the ledger plates. So you want to drop the bar on the ground and then go through and do the same inspection, because the relationship of the knife to the rock guards will sometimes change depending on whether the bar is in the up or down position. And of course, before you use the mower, you want to go through and grease everything. Make sure you grease the U-joints, the pulley bearings, any place where you have a movement joint like here. And you want to grease the pitman end too, if it has a grease fitting. Now this is an old ball type pitman end. It doesn't take grease, so I pour a little used motor oil on this to lubricate it. And for these old mowers, this is something you want to do more than once a day if you're mowing all day long. I'd say every 4 hours of use you want to oil this or grease it. Some old timers will say before you go out mowing you should take a bucket of used motor oil and dump it all down through here to lubricate this. I have a different opinion. As you're going through the grass, this is picking up a lot of moisture, and the water actually lubricates this and keeps it cool while it's running. So motor oil would be a temporary fix in any case. And after you've mowed for a while, this will all shine up. All the cutting surfaces will shine up. It's kind of like using a moldboard plow that you dig out of the barn and it's all rusty. Once you run it for a while, it shines it right up. And then it moves through the ground easier and it cuts a lot better. All right, everything's all adjusted. Let's go out and mow under some fences. One of the joys of running a sickle bar mower is if you get the tractor tuned right to the mower in your head, you can go in and out and just swoop around the fence post without ever backing up. And when I do it with the H, I can do that because the narrow front on the H will turn right on a dime and the mower's set just right so that back end will swing right out as you turn the tractor into the fence, and you can dip right in and out of the fence rows. I like to be meticulous when I trim fences, so with this tractor with a wide front that doesn't turn very tight, I swoop into the uncut grass under the fence, cut a little bit, and then I back the mower up so I can get just as tight as can be to the post, and then I come forward to the next post and then stop the mower, bring it up, back up, and go into the next. It takes a while, but it's a lot easier than going through and hand trimming later on. And sometimes you wind up with this mess where the grass gets wound on the wire and then the wire gets pulled down to the head. So you have to free it up, which isn't easy, especially when the fence is still on. Usually you can avoid this by backing up with the sickle bar up as you've seen me do, and then it kind of pushes the grass down evenly, but sometimes it clogs like this. There. This is what happens when the mower trips. I hit a big clump here and it was too much for the mower. The mower tripped back off here, and one of the bad things about this, the PTO comes apart too when that happens, so I got to shut the mower right off. To fix it, you just back up until the mower resets. The mower reset now, and now I can raise it up, back it out, drop it down, and then I got to hook the PTO back up. I love getting out our old sickle bar mowers once a year to trim under fences. It's a real test of driving skill to maneuver in and out of the post, and patience too, because it takes me the better part of a day to do all of our fences. It reminds me of when I was a kid when we used to mow hay with sickle bar, and even when we started out farming. Now, properly adjusting a sickle bar is probably the most important thing. If you don't, you're going to wind up with clods of hay in your sickle bar, and you're not going to have very much fun. When it's sharp and well adjusted, it really is a thing of beauty. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.